Hi, my name's Emily Bopes, and I did my research paper on Title IX. I kind of took a generic approach to Title IX, but I went into deep research about the prior to Title IX to Title IX now and how Title IX affects athletes, and not only athletes, but other things that Title IX affects in people's lives. For my introduction, I did a story of Caitlin Clark breaking the NCAA all-time Division I scoring record in basketball. And then I transitioned into Title IX with this because a woman breaking this record was a huge deal, and especially since it was previously held by a man. In my next paragraph, I talked about how women were treated prior to Title IX, and it was just not a lot of women they had limited rights to almost everything, especially in athletics and academics and professional careers. In my next paragraph, I talked about how Title IX got passed and the people who really fought for it in Congress to get passed. And I also kind of explained what Title IX is, which is this no sex-based discrimination. I also explained this in that paragraph. In my next paragraph, I explain how Title IX really changed education and jobs for women. Because this is a few years after Title IX was passed, more women were going to college and getting jobs that were previously held by men or male-dominated fields. My next paragraph, I talk about women in sports and how Title IX really was the first thing that allowed women to play in sports. It gave women the opportunity to play in athletics. In this paragraph, I explain how women were doing in sports in the 90s, so 20 years after Title IX was passed, and it was just women were still thriving and having great opportunities in athletics. In this paragraph, I explain the challenges and issues that Title IX has faced, which is the biggest thing is that some schools have to cut their men's teams to maintain gender balance. In this paragraph, I explain transgender athletes and how they are affected by Title IX, since Title IX does not have anything to do with transgender individuals. In this paragraph, I go a little personal and I explain my how I fought to get my girls wrestling team in high school as a recognized school sport. I explain the story and how I did that. In this paragraph, I explain how I played ice hockey growing up and how playing on a male-dominated sport affected my opportunities and how I was treated. And this is just my conclusion. I wrap up all my ideas in here, and then I have my works cited.